Hello and welcome to the second part of this black and white HDR video tutorial. In the first part we showed you how to process your raw images so that you got three different exposures, and then we also duplicated a couple of extra layers which become apparent now. We're now going to use levels just to sort out each of those layers, and we'll just do that to adjust the tonal ranges and really add a little bit of impact to each area of the picture. Now we usually use adjustment layers when we are applying levels. Today we're actually going to apply those adjustments with levels directly to each of the layers. So to do this we can go up to Enhance, Adjust Lighting and Levels, and that'll instantly bring up our levels adjustment. Now over on the left hand side, this histogram shows a lot of detail or a lot of information in the highlights, and we can see that instantly if we look at the picture is very light in the areas of the background and the foreground, and it's just the shadow area which is properly exposed. If we look over on the left, you can see the blacks are very low, and we've got quite a nice even amount of midtones going across the image. Now what we want to do is just centralize on our shadow area, and we're just going to adjust the highlights, shadows and midtones by using the threshold clipping as a guide. Now in order to do that, hold down your Alt key, grab hold of the highlight slider, and you'll instantly see the threshold clipping appear. Now all you have to do is move that highlight slider over to the left hand side, and as it moves across you'll see the white areas denoting where the image is being clipped, or the information in those areas are being clipped. So what we want to do is just make sure that all of those areas in the shadow are just within the threshold limits, and we can see there we've just clipped in the highlights a little bit, and we want to do that again for the shadows. So again, hold down your Alt key and just shift along to the right, and you see because the area is quite dark, almost instantly we've got some clipping going on in the image, so we can leave our shadow slider exactly where it is. Now the final adjustment is the midtone slider. If we move that up we can darken down some of the shadow areas, and if we move it over to the left it'll lighten up some of those shadow areas, increase the highlight area. And basically does this, if we just take a look, here we've increased the highlight area, and you can see this very visually here. The distance between the midtone and the highlight is greater than the midtone and the shadow area, so we've got more highlights within the image. If we move it the other way, so we've increased the shadows and reduced the highlights, we've now got more shadow areas, which has darkened down the image a bit, and we've got less highlights within the picture. And because we're looking for something quite contrasty and we really want to pull out quite a lot of detail in this path, we're just going to increase the shadows just slightly, so we've got a little bit more shadow in that picture than we have highlights. When we're happy with that, just click OK, and that'll apply the first of our levels adjustments directly to the shadows layer. Once you've done that, just turn the visibility of our shadows layer off, click onto foreground, and instead of going up to Enhance, Adjust Lighting and then Levels, we're going to use shortcut and go Control L or Apple L, and that'll bring up our Levels dialog window. Now what we want to do is adjust for the foreground, so that's this area here and probably a bit of the land as well. Hold down Alt, we'll start off with our highlights, and we can see it takes a little bit of movement before we start to see that threshold clipping. And we'll do the same for the shadows. And what we want to do is just adjust that midtone slider, and we're just going to again increase that shadow area a little bit. Okay, once you've done the foreground, repeat this process for each of those layers. What we're really looking to do is just to really get some punchy detail within the picture. So here we've made sure that by adjusting the shadow and the highlights, we're pulling out a lot of the detail in these trees, and we've also got quite a nice look to the lake in the background. Okay, now here's a tricky one. The hills. Now the contrast within the hills is pretty low, and so we're going to use the levels adjustment to just increase some of that contrast and really bring out the detail. So again, hold down Alt, slide that over to the left until you start to get a little bit of threshold clipping in, and again pull in your shadows and we'll do the same. And we can see already we've got quite a bit of detail. We just need to ease off on the shadows a little bit, and now we can just use our midtones just to really kick in some of that hillside detail. Once we're happy, we'll just click OK, and finally move on to the sky layer. And again, same thing, we really want a dramatic sky, so we're going to clip it in just slightly on the shadows and really use the midtones to adjust the impact, so we've got really nice dark dramatic sky. Again, just move the midtone slider, and there we have our final adjustment. And if we just take a look at the guide layer as well, and we just leave the guide layer as it is. So we've now gone through each of our layers, adjusted the levels, so we've got the correct adjustment for each area of the picture. So in the next part we'll take a look at applying layer masks so that we can then start to paint back in all the detail and the areas of the picture that we want for our black and white HDR.